Just sum up what you saw tonight from your guys and the way they battled and came back.
Yeah, I mean, it was obviously fighting back in the third period like that. Just our guys have been there before, done that before. We knew that we could score 2 goals in the third period, just I think from confidence of the year that we've had. And but that being said, you got to go out and do the work. And I thought the guys really pressed in the third period. First period was fast. There's hardly any whistles. It went up and down the ice really quick. And second period, I thought the chances went back and forth. Both goaltenders were really good. Some big saves, but it came down to the third period for us where we had to go out and get something done. And I just thought the guys pushed really hard. They never caved on that game. They brought their best in the third period.
Molly?
Peter, just what could you say about what Chris Kreider did in the third period there?
I just saw him for the first time out in the hallway here, so just because he was tied up. But that is just a monster third period. I mean, he put it on his back, and he really delivered. It was more than him, but at the end of the day, we needed to score goals, and this is what he does, and this is what he did tonight. It was a pretty unbelievable performance by him, especially for a guy who, wasn't on the ice yesterday, and to come back and throw in a game like that, throw in a third period like that is pretty special.
There?
Peter, in the second period, there was a sequence where Martinook makes that incredible scooping out of the net, and then I think Panarin goes in a breakaway, doesn't score. An outsider watching that thinks that, well, it's just not the Rangers' day.
Yeah.
What are you thinking at that moment, and what do you do about it?
Yeah, I mean, that would have been. I think that would have made it 3-2, right? If that had gone in, it would have made it 3-2, and that would have been obviously a big goal for us at that point. We wanted to win the second period. We scored to make it 2-1 and get back into that game. And, if you score that next goal, you've won the second period and you've set it up for the third. And there was that was sequenced, didn't go our way. Conversely, as we're pushing in the third period, you saw Igor make some monster saves in the third at the right time as we were trying to score, as we were trying to push that game. And oftentimes that happens. You loosen up or you leave yourself a little bit on the back end, and you need your goaltender to make saves. I thought he made some incredible saves throughout the game, but especially in the third period.
Dan?
Peter, in between periods, I don't know if you heard him say it, but Chris Kreider apparently said, "I'm going to go get one." And he obviously goes and gets 3. But
Did he call that?
Apparently he did.
He
didn't call 3. I don't think he called 3. That'd have been something. But I guess, further into, just his performance tonight, but just who he is and what he means to this team, for him to stand up and say something like that in the locker room and then go out and deliver. Yeah. What does that tell you about who he is and what he means?
Well, I mean, he's a leader one of the leaders on the team for a reason. And he's been here. He's the elder statesman on the team, one of them. And we needed that from him. We needed that from the leaders on the team, Panarin and Trocheck and Shesterkin. We needed those guys to be big. We needed everybody. So I don't want to sell it like it was just those guys, because it was a huge effort tonight against a really good hockey team. The team that's been tops in the league for the last 4 or 5 years. They've had an incredible record and extremely hard to play against. But you're down in a situation and in a game like that, you need that leadership, and you need those players to step up and make a difference in a game when you're down a couple of goals, and I thought they all did. But obviously him with 3 goals, it certainly leaves a mark, and it's got his stamp on it.
Larry?
Peter, I'm wondering if you ever get the feeling that this team is carrying a burden of Rangers history that they haven't won in so long, and the narrative is they haven't done it, done it, and it's more about the history than it is about this team. So I'm wondering, are you aware of that?
Yeah, I think I might be somewhat aware of it. Having not been here, Larry, I can only tell you like the story of what's gone on this year, what we've seen this year from this group, right? But understanding a little bit of that history, and I'm pretty honest about what I see in a game, and I thought we played a really good game in Game 4, a little bit loose in the first period. We were way off the mark in Game 5. And at that point, maybe what you're saying can sneak in or slide in. And that was what, in my opinion, what was really probably one of the biggest points tonight, is that when our back was up against the wall going into the third period, the players in that room delivered against a really good hockey team. And we were able to find ourselves to be able to score goals and now move on to the conference finals.
Yeah.
Peter, I guess I got to ask this just simply because you're halfway to where you want to be. How quickly do you turn your focus now to what's next? How long do you allow yourself to enjoy this before you turn your focus to what's next?
We've been I don't know the schedule of what's going to happen here and when we'll be called to the table again for Game 1, which is just really exciting, and I think everybody's fired up about that. But I think we've been fortunate with the way that the season ended, the way the first round ended, and what you guys were able to see when you're in there is a little bit of rest, and then almost like a mini training camp to try and get ready for the next opponent has worked really well. And so I think we'll have a few days. I think we'll be afforded some of that again, which is nice. And then we'll be ready when they tell us it's time to go. We'll be ready to go.
Over here.
The game ends, and you have a history, a friendship with Rod Brindamore.
Yeah.
What was that conversation like after the final horn win?
You think about the job that he's done here as a coach of this team, and this is his first crack at coaching too, and he's done an amazing job as a coach. Our relationship has always been good and strong. We've shared something together that, we'll both take with us for the rest of our lives. But what he's done here in Carolina is he's provided a system and a culture and a work ethic led by him and what he wants out of his teams, and it's a reflection year after year of how they play. And it's tough. It's tough losing. I've been on the wrong side of it many times, and it's always tough. But I have nothing but respect for Rod and the job that he's done here, and for their team as well, the organization and the team, because they are a top team in the NHL.
We'll finish with Ethan.
Peter, you mentioned obviously the resilience tonight, and you guys
Yeah.
have had moments of that throughout the season, but maybe this kind of stage is a little bit different. And I'm wondering, is this a moment where you learn something new about the team, or do you feel like that groundwork has been laid and you are confident in it, in this kind of moment?
I don't think, I'm not surprised. I would find it hard to believe that the players would say that they were surprised. I don't know what they would say. They could ask them. But I do think that the groundwork has been laid. And tonight was set up by many days of what we've done prior to this, whether it's in practice or whether it's in games or games where we had to come back, or the meetings we've had, or the accountability that the players have had to the way that they're going to approach every day. I would say that just knowing what we've done this year, that this could happen tonight.
Jacob, how would you describe just the feeling, the mood going into that third period, being down 2 goals?
Yeah, I mean, it was calm. Like I said, just the confidence in the game we play. No one was in here freaking out or yelling. It's just kind of go out and play 20 minutes how we play, and we get one in the first 10. We think we can get a second one. We ended up getting 3, so that helped. But yeah, I don't think there was really any panic or frustration. It was just kind of go out and play our game for another 20 minutes.
How do you describe what Kreider did in the third period?
Yeah, I mean, he took over the game. I think he's shown the ability to do that at times. I mean, he's just, a lot of guys in here call him a horse, and I mean, that's what he is. And he took off in that third period and kind of took over the game for us.
And it looked like, Jacob, the goalie chipped in. Looked like it ignited the life.
Yeah, I mean, we have all the confidence in the world in him. Not much needs to be said to him, or I guess, I mean, you can talk about him all you want, I guess, but he just goes about his business every day, and with the competitiveness and the focus and the dedication that he has, I think there's no one I think we'd rather have back there as a group.
You see the play Jordan makes to keep the puck. Yep. It's got to be hard, I imagine, to think when something like that goes against you, well, maybe this just isn't our night. How did you guys avoid that?
You don't really have a choice. You can pack it in halfway through the game because something didn't go your way, or continue to battle and fight and find out what we got in here. I think a game like that kind of builds the confidence even more and the trust that we have in each other to show up when we need each other and depend on each other. And it wasn't just Kreider, it was everyone stepping up, and we played a really good third period and won the game.
They're a great team. You know, it's not like we go up 3-0. They're going to roll over and quit. They're a really good team, and you know, we knew they were going to fight back, and we, you know, kind of maybe had a letdown game last game, but I think throughout the season, whenever that's happened, we've rebounded and you know, came back stronger the next game.
You guys were the first team to clinch a playoff spot, the first team to get to the second round. Now you're the first team to get to the conference finals. I mean, what does that say about you guys?
Yeah, obviously, you know, the goal is to move on. I think doesn't matter how long it takes or when we do it. The ultimate goal is to win the series, and we're just, you know, happy we got it done tonight.
You've had a lot of battles against Kreider in these kind of situations before. Playing with him now, what do you learn about him playing with him in those kind of situations?
Yeah, he always comes up big when the team needs him most. Tonight was a perfect example. Before the third period started, he said, you know, I know I'm going to get one here, and then he goes out and gets three. So he's clutch. He comes up big every time, and you know, he's a great guy to play with.
And again, you don't get there without the saves that your goaltender made, and I know that's something that we don't have to repeat. He's back there, and he does a pretty good job.
Yeah, another Igor-esque game. Yeah, he was huge. He made a phenomenal save on Svechnikov with about a minute and a half, 2 minutes to go. That's, you know, such a hard save to make, and you know, like he does it time and time again when we need him most. He's there for us.
Chris said that in the dressing room or on the bench, or that he was going to get one in the third.
He said it before we went out.
To everybody, or just?
I don't know if everyone heard, but I heard it.
Vincent, I guess to start, just what can you say about Chris's performance tonight and what he means for the team?
Yeah, it was clutch. I mean, I think we were a little down on ourselves after the second period there tonight. Obviously, we didn't love the way we played in the first two periods, but whenever you're in a spot like that, you need your big players to come up big, and Chris did that tonight.
Chris, could you just describe this team's mentality of being able to bounce back and fight back?
Yeah, I don't know the stat, but I think we had a decent number of come from behind wins this year in the regular season. It never really felt like we were out of it. And I'm talking about being a resilient group and a competitive group, and I think we showed that tonight.
Vincent, just what was the message in the locker room going into the third period, and I guess the vibe in general before you went in there?
There wasn't a whole lot said after the second. It was just that we knew that wasn't the way we need to play in order to win hockey games in the playoffs against teams like that. And it was just had to go out there and make a decision in the third period and either show up and play and be a part of the series or don't. And I think we had 20 guys show up in the third.
Chris, how much do you think not only the experiences for this group this season, but the last couple of years, the playoff runs you guys have had, have prepared you guys to kind of keep your calm in these moments and be able to come through in these type of stressful pressure environments?
I think after your first run with a group, I'm thinking back to 21, I think, you know, you kind of have a feeling for what playoff hockey is going to be like, but each series is so different. Each team is so different year to year, so it's hard to say, but I think just more the experience over the course of the regular season, and the way that we prepared and the way that we played over 82, I think is obviously helped us kind of create our identity, but also set us up for how we want to play at this point of the year too.
Do you think there's something different with this group about the way that you approach these type of situations that's allowed you to come back in so many games?
Yeah, I just think our process has been the same the whole year, regardless if it was game 5, game 62, game in the first round, second round, whatever. We've approached the game the same way.
Go, Larry.
What does this mean to you personally? I mean, you, Chris, you've been through all of Ranger history now for the recent past. So what does this mean to you?
You're going to hate this answer, Larry.
That's why I didn't want to ask the question.
It means we have to play more hockey.
Go, Dan, and then Peter.
Chris, in between the second and the third, did you say, I think I'm going to get one? And when you got one, did you think that there were more on your stick?
I don't know. I mean, I just think as a group we raised our level and we started getting pucks to the net, and I just tried to get there.
Is that
I think he did. I think he did. I
So,
think he did
Vincent,
say that
did he say that?
He had, yes, he did say he had one. I'm not sure about the second part of that question, but the first part, yes.
And when he said that, what did you guys think?
I said I sure hope so.